All right, Larry Krueger here from the Pig and a Pickle Krug Show with a little 49er video as John Lynch spoke on KMBR on this Friday. Thursday scheduled for the Niners, but a Friday overall. Niners getting ready to take on the Colts on Monday Night Football. And Lynch normally stops by every week, and he did again today. Normally it's a Thursday. Today it's a Friday. And he always has a lot of things to say. So we'll get into what I heard from John Lynch today, and we'll kind of break it all down. Really to say. He always has a number of interesting things to say. Talking a little bit about, the Seahawk Rams game last night, and man, that was the game of the year. And John talked about how the NFC West is, high quality with great players and great coaches, and noted that a special teams play swung the game, and said, yeah, do we watch it? But, yeah, we're focused on Indianapolis and trying to beat Indianapolis. If we beat Indianapolis, we're in the playoffs, was basically the Niners mindset and their focus and their sole focus. They really believe the 49ers are going to celebrate this. If they can get the win over the Colts on Monday night, they're going to celebrate this one big. Why? Because they believe that if they get into this tournament, they got a shot to win this thing. And of course, we all know that's true. So what level of a shot, what percentage of a shot, we're going to find out. We're going to see. That's why they play the games, as they say. But the 49ers believe, top to bottom, coaches, executives, players, just get in. Just get in. Just get in, and we'll see what happens from there. So if they, this weekend, they can get into the playoffs. And if they beat the Colts, they're in. Then it's about, are you the 1? Are you the 2? Are you the 5? Are you the 6? Who are you? Do you get a bye? Do you not get a bye? I mean, the bye is incredible, but first order of business is get to the playoffs. And if they beat Indy on Monday night, they're a playoff team. So Lynch clearly, said that's our focus. We're focused on Phillip Rivers and beating Indianapolis and doing what we have to do to win Monday night. That's our mindset. All of our focus is on the Colts. Then the conversation turned to DeForest Buckner. And, man, I'll say it right now. The Niners blew it. They should have kept DeForest Buckner. And John called him a cornerstone player and a class act. And there's a belief that Defo is going to play in this game. He's had a very serious neck injury, but he's battled back. He was on the practice field this week in Indianapolis, and the expectation is Defo is going to play. What makes the Colts so tough is that they have arguably the best interior offensive and defensive linemen going. Buckner, when he's at his full tilt, is a borderline Hall of Fame player. He's a monster. He's a pass rusher. He's a run defender. He's a load. He's tall. He can bat down passes. He's smart. He can rush the passer. He's got moves. He's got a club. He's got a rip. He's got a swim. He's got about 9 different moves that and he came into the league with 3 or 4, but now he's got a bunch. Now he's got a whole bag full of tricks, and he's very, he's huge. You can't move him. He's smart. He knows what you're trying to do to him. So, and then you got Quentin Nelson at guard, who's the best guard in football, Hall of Famer, former Notre Dame star. So you have the best, 2 of the best. I mean, Nelson absolutely is the best guard. I guess you could argue for other guys, Jeffrey Simmons and Chris Jones and others at defensive tackle, but DeForest Buckner takes a backseat to nobody at that position. So the Niners on the line of scrimmage at the point of attack on both sides of the ball are going to be challenged significantly in this game. John talked about Chris Ballard. John and Chris Ballard obviously completed that deal for DeForest Buckner, and they're good friends. And he said, man, I got a lot of respect for Chris and how he puts together a football team and how he constructs a football team and the roster that he's put forward, the coaching staff that he's gathered. So nothing but mutual respect between Ballard and Lynch for sure. John made a point. He's like, hey, man, we're going to have to go there and take this. Nobody's going to hand it to us. And I think that's the right approach. You're going to have to get on that plane with the aggressiveness of they got something we want and we're going to take it and then we're going to leave. That's the mindset. That's the proper mindset. And that's what Lynch said. He said, hey, man, they're not going to hand it to us. We know it. It's going to be tough. It's going to be a grind. We're going to have to go there. We're going to have to take it. And it's going to come from force. So this game on Monday night with Phillip Rivers making his second NFL start, all the looky-loos and the people who, the casual fans, the non-football fan, and this might be one of the record-setting audiences just because Rivers is now in week 2 of this comeback. It's national TV. 49ers always have a big national audience. There's playoff implications. It's the Colts' whole season. The Niners now with the loss by the Rams potentially can run the table and get the number 1 seed. That's not going to be lost on the media pundits and all the people talking about this game in the buildup. So expect a huge buildup on ESPN throughout Monday's day parts, and then expect a massive TV audience for Niners Colts. And hopefully the Niners Nation can travel to Indy and pack the place and be heard and be loud. And, hopefully the Niners can go there and take it, because that's what it's going to take. One of the things he was asked about was like, what about this run D, man? The run D's bad. How are you going to turn it around? Is it players? Is it coaching? Is it personnel? What can you do? Is there guys coming back? What can you do? And, John said, hey, look, we got to tackle well. Niners have missed 26 tackles in the last 2 weeks. He said, we got to tackle well. 26 missed tackles in 2 weeks usually is a sign of fatigue. And the Niners are trying to deny that it's a factor, but it may be a factor. But they got to tackle well. And as he said, we got to play our assignment. We got to be assignment sound. We got to tackle well. We got to bring, 11 hats to the party. In other words, we got to gang tackle. It's going to be a collective effort the entire game, all 4 quarters, trying to defend JT, trying to defend Rivers, so really interesting. Then Lynch told an incredible story about how, him and Phillip Rivers played in San Diego. John lives in San Diego. So, there aren't that many. San Diego's a big city. It's not that big of a city. So there's probably not that many private schools. They sent their kids to the same school. So they're fast buddies from San Diego. And John said that, he solely is the reason that Phillip got his debut. It was Phillip's rookie season in 2005, and Lynch came around the corner and knocked out Drew Brees. And Phillip was the backup. And Phillip came into the game, and John said for years he kept ribbing Phillip Rivers. Hey man, I'm the guy who gave you your start. I'm the guy who knocked out Brees and gave you an opportunity to come in. And they've been laughing about it ever since. But nothing but respect for Rivers. Nothing but respect from the 49ers about what Rivers did last week. John said he thought Rivers looked really good. He didn't drive the ball down the field. He looked 44, but he looked really good. He knows where to go with the ball. How many guys could sit out 5 years and do what Phillip Rivers did last week against Seattle's defense on the road? That's truly amazing. They almost won the game. Now, the big question that they didn't get into was, how does Phillip Rivers bounce back? He's 44. He hasn't played in 5 years. He just played an NFL game. Don't tell me he felt good on Monday. He didn't. Don't tell me he felt good on Tuesday. He didn't. Don't tell me he felt good yesterday. He didn't. Don't tell me that he's feeling great today, because I bet you he doesn't feel great. So that's the Niners' advantage. They weren't the first game. They were the second game, and we'll see if what Phillip Rivers looks like, after a week after his first NFL game in 5 years. Is he still moving, or is he tight? Is he still feeling good, or is he not feeling so good? Is he starting to feel his age? Hopefully that's the case. And that's the Niners, that's the Niners' charge, is to make sure by the end of this game on Monday night that he's thinking, why did I come back? You need a face full of Keon White. You need a face full of Cleve Farrell. You need the Niners to get after Phillip Rivers on Monday night, and for him to regret his decision to come back. But Lynch had nothing but respect for Rivers and the way he's played so far. Around the holidays, it feels like scams are everywhere. And that's why I'm more careful than ever when I'm sending money, which is why Cash App really stands out to me. Scammers know the holidays are busy for everyone, which can make us all targets for scams. And that's why Cash App builds in protections to help keep your money safe while you're checking off your shopping list. If you're about to send money to someone for a deal that's just too good to be true, and Cash App flags it as a potential scam, they'll warn you before you send the money. Cash App also gives you an extra layer of protection with features like Security Lock. You can require a PIN, Face ID, or a fingerprint to unlock your account and move money. So even if someone gets a hold of your unlocked phone at a holiday party or wherever, your money is right where you left it. For a limited time only, new Cash App customers can use our exclusive code to earn some additional cash. For real, just download Cash App, use our exclusive referral code, SECURE10. Don't forget, it's SECURE10. Use that in your profile, send $5 to a friend within 14 days, and you'll get $10 dropped right into your account. Terms apply. That's money. That's Cash App. Cash App is a financial services platform, not a bank. Banking services provided by Cash App Bank partners, prepaid debit cards issued by Sutton Bank, member FDIC, promotions provided by Cash App, a Block Inc. brand. Visit cash.app/legal/podcast for full disclosures. And John went on to say, hey, look, we just got to be prepared for everything as far as Monday night. We don't know how this game's going to play out. We don't know who's going to, how the script is going to be written. And it's just important that we're prepared for everything. As far as Brock Purdy, he was asked, hey, is Brock 100%? And John said, hey, man, he executed at a really high level. He extended plays. He made some big plays. Is he 100%? John's like, John gave the old football answer, which is, there's a saying in football, everybody's hurt. Tell me when you're injured, especially when you get to week 10, week 11, week 15, everybody's got something. Oh, I feel great. Oh, but my wrist, I got a bone bruise on my wrist. I feel great. My hand is, I feel terrific, but my shoulder, I feel good, but I've got cracked rib, and I have a hard time breathing. I mean, literally, all these guys are gladiators, and they're walking around with something, and they usually don't report it. I would say 80 to 85% of the injuries probably don't even get on the injury list. Juwan Jennings absolutely got beat up last week. He's nowhere on the injured list this week. Are you telling me that he's not hurt? No, he is hurt. He's got something. But you know what? He's a badass. He's a tough guy, and he's just going to gut it out. It's just simple as that. And that's just the way it is. It's really that simple. But, Purdy is playing at a really high level, and you can see John's excited about the fact that he extended some plays, and he showed some mobility, and he's showing all that moxie. And, this is what I would call the super prime. Personnel people, we love to get into, different aspects when it comes to players. There's the pre-prime, which is the first year, the second year, and you might get something out of somebody in their pre-prime, but maybe not. Then there's the what I would describe as the super prime, which is year 3, year 4. Sometimes it's a year 3, 4, 5, 6 situation for a quarterback. But, when you get to that third year, you've been in the system, you've been in the league, you've gotten your body stronger, you maybe had an injury or two along the way to kind of harden yourself up a little bit, and another challenge along the way. Now you get to year 3, and the system, and your body understands the speed, and you've made the adjustment. And that is what I call the super prime. And that's typically when you look for guys to win. And this is where Brock Purdy is. If Brock Purdy's going to win a Super Bowl, it's probably here in the next 3 to 4 years. Why? Because that is what a scouts would call the super prime. And I'm calling myself a scout, even though I'm a former scout. But you know what I'm saying? The super prime is that 25, 26, 27. Especially for a quarterback. Might be a little earlier for some other players, other positions. But for quarterbacks, I would say that 25, 26, 27. You come into the league, you're 20, 22, whatever. You get a couple of years. All of a sudden, you get to 24, 25. You got it. And Brock Purdy's got it. And he's playing at a level right now that's really, really incredible. And can he maintain it? And if he can, the 49ers may be your Cinderella team in the NFC. So just something to watch for. Marcus asked him, hey, Mathew Judon is out there. What do you think? Are you interested in Judon, the edge rusher? And he's like, we like our group. We got some guys internally, some options internally that we want to take a look at. But Lynch acknowledged, hey, we're always looking. And, guys, a guy like Judon could be an injury away, one injury away. And all of a sudden, hey, you know what? Now we need to get him in here. So John's like, hey, we're open-minded. We like the player. But, we like our group of guys, and we like the cast we have. So it sounds like they're not going to go for Judon, at least initially. He was asked, about, hey, is this a game where you're going to get a bunch of guys back? Yatir Gross-Matos, Sam O, Tatum Bethune, Eric Kendricks. All these guys are rounding into form. And John's like, hey, man, Thursday's practice is our rigorous big practice. That's today. Even though it's a Friday. Today is, as I said, the Niners Thursday, and today's practice on this Friday will determine probably a number of who's coming back and who's not coming back. They need Tatum Bethune back out there. When he's out there, they're a better run defense. That, yes, they can be better with their assignments. Yes, they can be better with their film study, but personnel's upgrades also are going to be a major portion of getting better against the run. I got to start seeing some other guys. I can't go with, the guys they got if you're not doing the job. You got Kendricks there. He's an experienced linebacker. You got Bethune there. He had a 15 tackle game earlier this year. If these guys can get on the field, that would be huge. Absolutely huge. Then he was asked about Ayuk. They kind of hit a bunch of topics at the end. Hey, Ayuk, what about Ayuk? And John dodged the Ayuk. He said, hey, man, we're focused on Indy. We'll deal with that later. There's plenty of time to deal with all the ramifications as it pertains to Brandon Ayuk. But he didn't want to get into it this morning and just said, hey, look, we're focused on Indy, and we'll do with that in due time. Then he was asked about Puka Nacua, both the player and the controversies surrounding Puka with some of the things he's put out on social media, blah, blah, blah. And John just said, hey, look, deep down, part of the reason I give this kid somewhat of a pass, he's a good kid from a good family who has a good heart. And, his heart's in the right place. He's a spectacular player. I mean, John was like, hey, man, this guy's got the strength, the hands, the fearlessness, the speed. I mean, the skill set of Puka Nacua right now is just awesome. So, John also said that, part of the job is that you're kind of mentoring younger people. And, sometimes people make mistakes. Sometimes people, their sense of humor isn't somebody else's sense of humor. Sometimes they may take the wrong steps. But John said, hey, look, man, this is a good kid with a good heart who meant well, means well, good family. We'll give him a pass on some of his posts. He talked a little bit about, was asked about Ricky Pearsall. And he said, Murph asked the question, hey, is Ricky Pearsall injury prone? And John mentioned, hey, look, he's had a couple different assorted injuries. The hip drop tackle that caused the ankle injury. John came in, that guy's going to get fined, and I think he will. I think the Titans player who did that hip drop tackle is definitely going to get fined. And he mentioned that. And he just said, hey, look, Ricky, he doesn't think Ricky's injury prone, but Ricky's going to have to prove that he's not injury prone. It's like, it's nothing anybody can say that can get, Ricky's parents can't get him off this one, and Ricky's friends can't help him here. Ricky's going to have to do it. Ricky's going to have to stay healthy and make plays. I think he's a good player who just hasn't been able to stay healthy, but that's the final frontier. You can't make the club in the tub. It's the way you play the day you play, and you got to be available. So, it's just as simple as that. But it was a dirty play that caused the ankle injury. And what can you say? Somebody has a dirty play against you. A dirty play is a dirty play. And that play has been legislated out of the game. And yet Ricky, his injury is directly related to it not being fully out of the game now, is it? So. But, I think everybody understands that Ricky Pearsall is talented. It's just a matter of durability. Can he stay out there? Then Murph asked him about Eric Saubert and the 2-point conversion. He's like, man, he's a good dude. He was a good Niner, and we were happy to see that. And guys were texting him saying, way to go, Saubert. John was asked about, several of the Niners going as a group to the Sharks game. And he's like, oh, I love that stuff. I love that stuff when you can go out there and, guys can bond and have a good time and go support other teams here in the Bay Area. He's like, whether it be a Warrior game, a Giants game, a Sharks game, he's like, he loves it. And of course, you always love it when your guys are, getting together in groups, away from the facility. It just shows that they're building a camaraderie, and it's not fake or contrived. It's real. And those kinds of connections, I think, only make you a better, more resilient, tougher football team. And then John finished up by shouting out two of his favorites, Brent Jones, who just got inducted in the 49er Hall of Fame, saying how much he respects Brent Jones as a player. He played against Brent Jones. And then, of course, Greg Papa, who's returning to the booth for the final 2 regular season games against the Bears and the Seahawks. And hopefully he'll be back there for the playoffs as well. And, everybody loves Greg, and what Greg has gone through. It's just been, I'm sure, a very difficult thing for Greg. And so the Niners are like, hey, welcome back, and glad to have him back. And so really excited to have Greg back. So there you go. There's a little wrap on what Lynch broke down. The Niners just need to win their final 3 games to secure the number 1 seed in the NFC. Unbelievable. They control their own destiny. A win over the 8-6 Colts, a win over the 10-4 Bears, a win over the 12-3 Seahawks, and the 49ers get the first round bye, and the road to Santa Clara comes through. That's right, Santa Clara. So amazing, really an amazing thing there for the 49ers that they're still right there. What an incredible break they got with the win by the Seahawks over the Rams. We should tell everybody that this entire football season is presented by Sleeper on the Krug Show, the fastest growing fantasy platform in the world. It's a one-stop shop. You get blazing fast news, real-time stats, group chat, season-long leagues, and of course, Sleeper picks for daily fantasy. Use promo code Larry. Sleeper will match your first deposit up to $100. Links in the description. Terms and conditions do apply. And thanks to Sleeper, thanks to Pig in a Pickle, and thanks to you guys for supporting The Krug Show on YouTube.